City Interactive Games are infamous for making bad games. So much so that they have even garnered the nickname Shitty Interactive. The main reason for this was because in the early 2000s they went for a quantity over quality approach, releasing dozens of rushed games in the span of only a couple of years. But 2014 was the year that they changed their attitude and decided to try and release a big budget game that wasn't rushed to make. And that game was Enemy Front, one of the most boring, generic and buggy games I have played. Oh, and just as a side note, 2014 is the same year that CI Games would also release the first Lords of the Fallen, so not a very good year for them, was it? With that being said, let's talk about what I liked about this game. When you have to follow an enemy, more often than not, they will walk the same speed as you. Now that I've talked about all the pros about this game, let's talk about the cons. To start us off with, something simple and a common complaint for this channel: no FOV slider. You can change the FOV in the game files, and the default FOV is quite high anyway, so this isn't a major issue. Another thing I noticed almost immediately on starting the game is that the cutscenes are really blurry compared to the rest of the game. And whilst we're on the subject of cutscenes, I have to mention how bad the cinematography is for a lot of them. Sometimes the actions the characters make and the shit they say just looks really awkward. This game also has more slow-mo than a Zack Snyder film. There's also slow-mo breaching, just like you'd see in the Call of Duty campaign, and this animation of a guy falling over because he's standing directly behind the door happens for 90% of these breaches. The breaches also have this annoying audio bug where the animation of the gun is all cool and slow-mo, but the audio is still normal speed. What the fuck was that sound desync? And wait up, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm not done complaining about slow-mo just yet. Sometimes when you shoot enemies with a sniper, the game does a budget sniperly and follows the bullet in slow-mo, which is really fucking annoying because the more time I spend in slow-mo means the more time I have to actually play this game. Whilst we're speaking of the sniper, the sight doesn't even line up properly with where the bullet actually goes. And the developers must have known this because there's some weird mechanic where you'll have this red circle appear on your scope if you stay aimed in enough, and it's slightly off-center to the fucking scope. So you're telling me someone programmed that in and didn't ask the question of why the fucking bullet doesn't go to where the cunt of a thing is aiming? Like, come on. And if you think me talking about the other weapons is going to make this review lean more positively, you're sorely mistaken. All the other guns feel more generic and blander than unseasoned chicken. The only thing I liked about them was that their sound design sounded punchy, but that's not saying much if they don't feel punchy as well. I'm going to switch gears over to the level design for a bit. There are two main types of levels in this game: linear Call of Duty inspired levels, and semi-open world, kind of Dishonored inspired levels. The Call of Duty style levels were probably my least favourite, but not because of the reasons you think. The reasons why I prefer the open levels is because the game has a very underbaked stealth system with really dumb enemy AI, meaning I could do this for most of the level. Stop that.
Sie sind hier! Friss das Pfeil!
Oops, I'm gonna die.
Ich habe freie Schussfeld!
That's right, you can literally get through most of these levels by just running and punching anyone that gets in your way. And if you thought the enemy AI was bad, then you are not ready for the friendly AI. I am almost 100% certain friendlies are there to try and make the game look more cinematic without actually doing anything to help you. I never once saw a friendly kill an enemy, and I'm pretty sure they don't even do damage to enemies. They are just there as set pieces. This is particularly annoying for when you're behind cover regenerating health, because it literally takes half an hour to do. You have to rely on your friendly stopping the enemy from bum rushing you to finish you off, which they will literally never do. And now for my final complaint about the gameplay. When I started this game, I noticed something very odd. Enemies were really hard to see. At first I thought the enemy uniforms just blended in with the walls very well for some reason, but what I later found out is that this game's draw distance is so low that even on the highest settings, enemies far away will be shooting you but on your screen, they aren't even fucking rendered in yet. How the fuck do you even do that in a linear first-person shooter? Levels shouldn't be big enough for that to happen. Oh, actually, I forgot there's one more thing too. Sometimes enemy snipers can shoot you through walls, but you can't shoot through walls yourself. So they literally just have fucking aimbot and wall hacks half the time. And actually, that's not even all of it. This is me adding more complaints in whilst I'm editing the video, by the way. But I realised that I forgot to mention how fragile enemy tanks, and actually all their vehicles are. You can literally blow up tanks with just 2 Molotovs. Like, come on. Obviously CI Games didn't do any research with how durable tanks are. Like, this game is just one of those things where the more you think about it, the more you can find to complain about it. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's the Disney era Star Wars films. If you're a Halo fan, it's probably Halo 4 and 5 in particular. This is just one of those games. But surely you're thinking, with gameplay this bad, the story makes up for it, right? Well, you play as Robert Hawkins, who was a war correspondent working in Europe during World War II. Robert gets caught up with joining the Warsaw Resistance movement, but not because he wants to help them. Robert joins them because he thinks that their story will be a big boost for his career, and even says throughout multiple points in the game that he doesn't even understand why the resistance movement is fighting. So yeah, Robert is the most brain-dead, selfish douchebag of a main character I think I've ever played as. Like, at the beginning of the game, he witnesses a war crime being committed on civilians, and 2 minutes later says that he doesn't understand why there is a resistance movement or why they're even fighting. Now, I do understand that the game tries to do some sort of character arc with Robert, where he starts to understand the resistance movement, but it is done so poorly that it never really comes to a full conclusion. You may also be wondering why this reporter is able to use guns so proficiently, and other characters in the game also mention this to him. And his excuse is literally something along the lines of, "Oh, I had to shoot someone in Spain once." And all the other characters go, "Oh, that makes sense." Like, no it fucking doesn't. He's shooting like he's a trained marine, not like a civilian that's only shot a gun a handful of times before. This game also has one of the most abrupt endings I've seen in a game. It genuinely feels like you've not even played through a quarter of the way through the story and the credits just suddenly roll. That's the end of the game? What? I feel like I haven't even played like half a game yet. Okay, well, that's the end of that, I guess. So, to finally conclude my video, I'll ask the question, is Enemy Front worth getting? The answer should obviously be no. Even if you're one of those people like me who loves playing bad games and watching bad movies for the giggles, this game is not worth it. The game is about 70% boring bad and 30% funny bad, so it doesn't even have that going for it. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Bye.